I actually have a little story to share about that. I used to go to the Gathering, which is like a big camp out for Native people, gay, bisexual, transgender. And we went up to Manitoba, to this little town called Beauséjour. And it was all these Crees and Sioux up there. And they were like, oh, yeah, Crees, yeah. Very beautiful people. So, oh, we should have ceremony, we should pray, you know, we made tobacco ties, and then somebody called somebody, and somebody came with a truck, and they were doing a ceremony, and all the women became ill. And then everybody's like, what is going on around here? And then they found out this was a straight man who had come into our community to cure us. And they were like freaking out, you know, they could feel this like force, and so they asked him to leave. And he left, and then things really started feeling better again. But, so we're still learning ourselves. It was very weird. It was like, oh my God, we asked a medicine person and he came to fight us. You know, he didn't come to pray with us and heal us. He came to break it and change it. And, you know, there were all these sightings. They have the Deer Woman legend up there, and there were all these things happening, things disappearing, and you know, a lot of it, you know, whether or not you believe in the spiritual realm or you just believe in people are very sensitive, and they know when you are working against them, and that's what was happening. And we listened to the women, and they said, okay, he has to go right away. And he knew what he was doing. He was trying to make all the women heterosexual and all the men heterosexual. It was like very sad, you know, that this is where we ask our community to help us with something very spiritual, and then it becomes a poison that we have to reject. You know, so it's not always the answers, you know, that you get. Like we ask a medicine person to come, and we found that we have our own medicine.
I have time for one more question.
Well, I'm sorry, but I want to, this is a really important issue, because we get this all the time, and a lot of times it does actually interfere with the operation of our organizations and the good spirit that we try to do it with. And I think part of the reason is, number one, the stereotyping that my colleagues here were just talking about, that, you know, everybody thinks we're a shaman, and everybody thinks we're going to somehow give you some sort of power or something. I've tried to use it a few times to get a date, but it never worked. But there's a fundamental difference between what is, I call, the Western Christian tradition and our spirituality pretty much across the board. Ours is very private, and it's meant to be shared within our communities. And within even our communities, there are ceremonies that I'm not entitled to know about. It doesn't have anything to do with me. And there are ceremonies that women don't know about, and there are ceremonies that men don't know about. And that is very well respected, you know, that again, it's part of what their responsibility and to the balance of the group is. And we don't go around talking about what that spiritual life is about. And as Karen just said at the end, if you have to pay for a sweat lodge, you know you're in the wrong place. And it is, as Ben just pointed out, to us, those of us who do believe in a spiritual world, it's dangerous. You know, you don't want to be fooling around with this stuff. And I basically never go to a ceremony unless it's on our territories, you know, because you don't know who these folks are. So I think that if you want, as non-native people, to be respectful and to learn about our traditions, that's great. But also really understand that you're coming from a totally different place, and approach us with that understanding that, you know what, we might not want to share everything with you. And part of your respect and our decolonization is for you to respect that.
Being a Native American is actually a legal genetic thing where you're born into a family that signed it somewhere in the past a treaty, and that's how they determine whether or not you can become a member of that tribe or nation. They'll look on the rules and say, oh, who was that, your relative, and who was that, and you have to fill out these genealogies usually. And some tribes will stop offering you membership if you marry into other tribes, or if you marry into white people. You know, if I had kids and they were by a non-native woman, then they would not be considered Dakotas, but they would be considered Maoris, because I have a little bit of Maori, and they're very white-looking people, so they would accept them.
I also want to make one note that most of you guys probably don't know about, is that we are the only race of people that have to carry a number to prove what race we are. We're kind of like Jews with Auschwitz, you know, we're tagged with a number and that's it, you know. All you have to do is carry a Social Security card. We got to carry a Social Security card and a tribal ID card, you know, so I just want to throw that out.
Well, that is a very important point, that we, again, back to the identity issue. Unfortunately, today the American government identifies who we are. Part of the whole human rights work that we're doing is this is a part of us as a nation. We have the right to identify ourselves. You don't have the right to come in and impose your identity on us.
Before we close, I just want to bust two myths. No, there were no Indian princesses. and two,
wait a minute.
And two, we all don't get money from anywhere. I get so many people coming up to me all the time.
Oh, right. We pay taxes.
Kids in colleges, you know, I work at a college. I'm going to college right now too. And I'm always getting people go, oh, you're Indian. Oh, you get some money from the government. It's like, no. So I just wanted to say that real quick, like the end is, you know, just to end it on that note.
Just one glimpse of you is all I need. Knowing that you breathe the same air I breathe. I wanna know all there is to know. I wanna know what makes your heart grow. But perhaps I should start with something simple. Like, what's your name? What is your history? What is your game? What is your pleasure? What is your pain?